Hi, and welcome to another Ministry Behind the Music. Today we're going to talk about chords and the building blocks of music called chords. And what we're going to talk about is really how chords are put together and really more how to hear chords, not so much the mechanics, but really how to make your playing by ear more practical. Some things we're going to talk about, we're going to do a review. As always, we're going to review the scales. We're going to define what a chord is. And we're going to talk about something called hearing, how to hear a chord. And then we're going to get into some basic chord types. I'm going to talk about and show you how to build a major chord, a minor chord, a major seventh chord, and a seventh. Don't get those two confused. A major seventh and a seventh. Okay, so let's get started. So if you remember, as always, whenever I do this, we start talking, everything is in music is built around the scale, 7 notes, number of completion. So when we think about the scale, and we're going to be in the key of C for everything we do in this video. So when we think about it, scale it starts at C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So that was a whole step, then a half step, whole step, half step. Now, we can take that scale. If we take every one of those notes and we assign a number to it, we go from 1 to 7, right? C being 1. 1, D is 2, E is 3, F 4, G 5, A 6, B 7, and then you're back to C, which is the 1 again. Okay, so now what can we do after that? You see, this is just like building blocks. So now we've got the notes, we've got the number, and now we can make a chord out of each one of those notes. So for instance, C would be a C, E, G, right? And we can D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F. All the way up and takes you back to C. Now the thing we're going to focus on here, really more so than anything else, is the 1, which is the C, E, G, the 4, F, A, C, and the 5, G, B, D. Okay, so that's called a 1, 4, 5 progression or chord progression. Now, when we talk about building chords, what is a chord? I just went through that pretty quickly. Now let's slow it down a little bit. A chord is when I take any 3 or more notes in that scale and I bring them together. Okay, so if you look at, I was in the key of C, it was that scale of C. So I used a C, E, and a G, and that made a C chord. Okay, and now thing to remember. You can arrange those 3 notes any way you want in that chord. I can play C, E, G, I can play E, G, C, or I can play G, C, E. Doesn't matter. I can play a C down here, a G right there, and an E right here. Still a C chord, okay? Very important to remember that because the inversion, that's what they call inversions. The root would be C, G, first inversion and second inversion. Not important right now. But sometimes depending on what you're playing or how the song goes, you change the notes in the chord to fit the song itself. Okay? All right. So when you think about a chord, like I said, it's 3 notes. Kind of reminds you of what else do you know about 3s in the Bible? What, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? So we've talked about 7s, right? The 7 on the scale. 3, the power of 3, the unity. 1, 2, 3, the Holy Spirit, the Son, the Father. Many things in music, as you're starting to see, is related to the Word of God. Okay, so now let's talk about hearing a chord. What do you mean by hearing a chord? Well, chords are kind of like, if you cook, it's like seasonings. Meaning each seasoning, whether it's pepper or oregano or cumin or whatever it is, has its own distinct flavor. Well, chords, each type of chord that we're going to get into, they have their own unique sound and their own unique flavor, meaning that they will add something different to the song or even to worship. Because really what we're talking about here, you know, my whole teaching is about worship, is about praise worship. So knowing what type of chord to use when can change, can enhance, or can take away from your worship service or your worship experience. So as a musician, as a praise worship leader, it's good to start knowing and recognizing what to play when. All right, let me give you an example, because by changing just one thing in a chord, by changing one note, we can go from melodic worship to, hey, dropping it like it's hot. Here, listen. I could play this very smooth, very much, in a mode of worship. I change one note in this chord, and I go here. And now I've gotten jazzy, I've gotten bluesy on you. I've gone from worship to, hey, dropping it like it's hot. So you see, as a musician, many times you have a lot of control over the atmosphere. So it's good to have seasoned and well-trained musicians, but most importantly, I think, it's good to have saved musicians, saved worship leaders, saved praise leaders, because you just don't want your musicians taking the worship to places that you don't want it to go. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about some basic types of chords. We're going to start with what we call a major chord. And that's I've already been playing. And a major chord is built using the 1, the 3, and the 5 in the scale. Okay? The 1, the 3, and the 5. Now, when I talk about the flavor, major chords are usually very bright. What I mean by bright, not smart, but I mean they sound bright. They're full, And you may not hear it now, but as I compare it to other types of chords, I think you'll start to get it. Now, where are they used a lot? We use major chords really a lot in congregational songs and hymns, and they follow what we call that 1-4-5 progression. If you remember earlier, we talked about the C, the F, the G. That's the 1, the 4, the 5, and that's what we call a 1-4-5 progression, meaning that a lot of songs are built around that. The 1, C, the 4, F, the 5, G, and back to the 1. So hymns, congregational type songs really follow that. So we're going to look at those 3 chords. The C, for instance, first of all, we got a C major. The 1, 3, 5, C, E, G. And if that's how it's built, if you go up to the F, like we just played, F, A, C, the 1, F, 1, A would be the 3, C would be the 5. And I'm going to go to the 5th chord in the scale, which would be the G. G, B, D. G being the 1, B is the 3, D would be the 5. Okay? Now we're going to take those 3 chords, and I'm just going to give you a song as an example. I'm not going to teach you how to play this song, but I want you to just listen to the song and the progression. And you say, I'm going to play this whole song. If you recognize this is an old hymn, it's an old standard. Jesus, keep me near the cross. So it starts in, it's in the key of C. So it starts on the 1. Jesus. When I go to keep, I'm going to go to the 4, the F. Near the cross. And come back to the C. There's a precious found. To the 5, to the G. 10. Back to the 1, which is C. Free to all. Where we're going to go? If you see, to the F, which is the 4. The healing stream. Back to the 1. Flows 5 from Calvary to the 4, F, Ridge Mountain. So I used the 1, the 4, the 5 for that song, and I used all major chords. All major chords, okay? So when we think about a major chord, that's the sound. Okay, next we're going to talk about our minor chords. Okay, so when we think about a minor chord, it's very similar, very close to a major chord. The only difference, the only thing you do to make a minor chord, you're going to lower the third 1/2 of a step. What does that mean? That may sound a little technical, but it's not. If you remember with our scale, 1, the numbers, okay, the third in the key of C would be the E. So for a C chord, which would be a C major chord, would be C, E, G. Well, I'm just going to lower this one note right there to what we call an E flat. Right there. So that's what I mean, lowering it a 1/2 step. So yeah, so that gives you a minor chord. That would be a C minor. Now, minor chords are generally kind of gives you the sound, the flavor. It's a subdued sound, and it's sometimes almost a mysterious type of sound. Just that rolling, flowing type of a sound. And where are they used a lot? Well, you often see minor chords in many places, but a lot of times you slow worship songs or chants and those types of things. And it can also use the 1-4-5. But many times with minor chords, as musicians, we'll change something in the bass to give the song a whole different sound and just stay on that minor. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. This song, I Will Sing Hallelujah. I'm sure you all probably have heard this. Okay, I'm not going to play it the way the record was. I'm just using this as an example. I'm going to use it in the key of C minor. I'm going to use those same chords. Now, what I am going to do here, though, to give you an idea, is I'm going to change some things in the bass. And so that's what, if you're looking at the diagram here, if you see C minor / B flat, that means that I'm putting that B flat note in the bass, or the A flat in the bass, but I'm still playing the C minor chord, okay? All right, so here we go. So we start off on the G minor. I will sing hallelujah. I will sing, oh Lord. I will sing hallelujah, oh Lord. For you are the source of my supply. Lord, I'll praise and I'll lift you high. I will sing hallelujah, oh Lord. So the whole song I play with minor chords, and you feel that rolling feel, kind of subdued, and just kind of flows. A lot of songs use that minor. Yes. Will your heart and soul say yes? That song is built on nothing but minor chords. So that gives you an example of what minors sound like. Okay, so now we're going to move to what we call a major 7th chord. And when we think about the 7th, what are we saying right here? All right, yeah, okay, listen carefully so you get this, because this gets confusing sometimes with people. We're going to add the 7th note in the scale to the chord. If you remember, when we first built chords, we used the 1, the first note. We used the 3rd note and the 5th note. Now we're going to add the 7th note. Okay, so 7th chords, generally what they do, they give you a soft mellow, almost a jazzy, a jazz club Philly kind of a sound. Very soft, very mellow. But it fits well with worship. Did I say Philly? I did say Philly, didn't I? Well, jazz feel, Lee. Okay. And we use those a lot with ballads, and even in your contemporary praise worship uses this quite a bit. So when we look at a major chord, I'm going to break down those 3 major chords. This is a C major, right? If you look at it, what do? We added the 7th, which would be the B. So now I got 4 notes in this chord. I got a C, a E, a G, and the B. Hear that? And I can put this B down here as well, as long as I play it. Very, very melodic, very smooth. Now, so if we look at the 4th chord in the scale, which would be an F major 7th, same thing, F, A, C, E. That's a F major. I put the E, the 1, the 3, the 5, and that E. Likewise, I can put the E at the bottom. I'm sure you recognize that sound. You've probably heard that in several songs. That's how you get that sound. And the 5th note in the scale that we're using is G. So that would be very similar. G, B, D, and I'm putting that F. And you see that little pound sign? That means it's sharp. It means that I raised the F up a half step. So that's the sound, that's the flavor, that's the feel that a major chord, major 7th gives you. Okay, so let's play a song. Like I say, it's, contemporary worship, we use this quite a bit. This song is called Open the Eyes of My Heart. I'm going to do it in C as well. So we start off in the key of C with the C chord. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Now all I'm going to do is just drop my thumb down 1 half step to put that B. That will make it a C major 7th. Open the I want to an F major seventh, where I'll use that E in the chord. See you, and I want to see you. One more time. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Into the major seventh. Open the eyes of my heart. F major seventh. I want to see you, and I want to see you. Very smooth, very melodic. All right, here we go. The last one, last chord we're going to talk about today is the seventh chord. You go, wait a minute, what's the difference between a major seventh and a seventh? Well, the difference is 1/2 step. Basically, now we're going to take the seventh note and we're going to move it down 1/2 step. Very similar to the major seventh, but so for instance, in the key of C, it would be the B flat. And we're going to talk. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so when we add that seventh note, now that changes up everything because now that gives you a bluesy sound. That's where the blues and that down home gospel feel. That's where you get that sound at, is with the seventh chord. Works good also with the 1, 4, 5. Okay, so let's take a look at these. Here we go. This is a C seventh. So now I have a C, E, G. If you remember, the major seventh was the B. But to get a seventh, I'm going to drop it down 1/2 step to the B flat. Same thing with the F seventh. So F, A, C, E. But I'm going to drop it down to an E flat. And the same thing with the G seventh. G, B, D. And before I was using the F sharp, well, I'm going to drop it down to an F. Got it? All right. And like I said, that's why you get that down home feel. If you remember this song, this is an old one, if I can remember the words, it's called View That Holy City. I'm gonna view that holy city, you know how. I'm gonna view that holy city one of these days. That's all seventh. I was a C seventh to an F seventh. The whole song I can play. See? So that seventh is what gives you that jazzy, that blues, 12-bar blues sound. I'm gonna view that holy city one of these days. And runs and things like that. A lot of that's built on that seventh as well. But so there you have it. We went through basically 4 basic types of chords. A major chord, then a minor, a major seventh, and a seventh. Major, minor, major seventh, and seventh. Okay, now let me show you one more song though. A song that used pretty much 3 of those 4 chords. I think I got a minute left. You remember that song by Atlantic Starr? You know, girl, you are to me all that a woman should be. Well, what they do there, they started with a major. Right there. Girl, you are to me. And then they went to a major seventh. Oh. Then to the seventh. That oh. All that a. And then to the 4. Woman should be. See? Major seventh. Seventh. And to the 4. If you play that, you just that alone, you're going to sound like a musical genius. Okay, listen. I'm almost out of time, but hopefully this helped you out to understand how to start listening to your chords and how to start hearing what each chord sounds like and the difference and how to spice up your beer, to start spicing up your music. Okay? With different sounds. All right. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church. And we will see you with part 2. God bless.